And if you've been with us for several weeks now, you know that the inspiration for this new program comes from Psalm 1, where the life of the blessed man is described as a tree that is planted by the streams of water, and the streams represent the Word of God, and how it comes to us and gives us real answers for the real situation in real time. And so we're excited that you're here tonight, and let's just keep going. I promised you every time that we're here we would be tracking, and so you can see on the screen the journey that we have been on so far. I'm not going to review all of that stuff, but wow, time flies, huh? We've spent a lot of time together, and tonight is number 6 in our curriculum, which is the launching of a brand new mini-series on conflict resolution. And what a big topic this is. We could go 7, 8, 10 weeks, but hey, Thanksgiving and Christmas is not going to allow us to do that. So we're going to trim it down to just 3 short weeks on this very important topic. Something that all of us need to understand, because all of us have experienced broken relationships, right? Every one of us have experienced that. And so it's just a part of life, and we're going to need the skills in order to fix those relationships in our lives. And so let's get started. Tonight is part 1, and it's going to be on the source of conflict. We're just going to start out real basic, confirm some basic things about where all this bad stuff begins. And so here we go. When it comes to conflict, broken relationships, the first place that you have to start is with yourself. You have to take a hard look at yourself. In other words, look in the mirror. It's important you examine yourself and understand exactly what is going on inside you, your motives, why you're thinking the things you do, your personality, your style, your tendencies. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that is swirling on inside you. Now, I'm going to put something on the screen right now that I'm going to put on a couple more times tonight, and then next week, and then the following week, and then we're going to take a Thanksgiving break. But take a look at this, memorize it, because you're going to see it over and over again. Here we go. Self-inventory is the beginning of conflict resolution. If you want to fix a problem, you got to take a hard look at yourself, and the saying goes, self-inventory is the beginning of conflict resolution. And so tonight, I'm going to give you an opportunity to take a look at yourself. Not just look at me, not just look at the screen, but look at yourself, because self-inventory, that's what it's all about. And so to make that happen, we are going to take a pop quiz, boys and girls. And so class, that's what we're going to do right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we're done for tonight. Now, hey, wasn't that fun? Okay, that's pop quiz number 1, meaning there might be a number 2, okay? So we are going to continue to examine ourselves, and it's just a simple exercise. I'm not going to collect it. I'm not going to post it on the internet, all right? You don't have to write your names on it. Go ahead and fold it, put it in your back pocket. You think about your own life and your own situation, okay? And so the goal tonight is not to think about your friend, not to think about your wife, your husband, but the goal is to think about yourself, okay? Next week, we'll think about some other stuff, but tonight, think about yourself. Because you know what? When it comes to conflict, the natural tendency is to do the opposite, and that is point the finger at somebody else, right? It's his fault. And so the idea or the attitude is, well, as long as he changes, everything's going to be fine. Well, the Christian perspective is no. You take a hard look at yourself. In fact, let's turn it around and point that finger back at yourself. So take a hard look at yourself. Look inside you. Look inside and see what's going on there. It's you and your issues. And so at the end of tonight, when I ask you, where's the source of conflict? You now know. I've given you the answer up front. It's you. You're the source of conflict. It's all that nasty stuff that you put inside your heart and you let it marinate inside there. Do you guys remember Cain? I mean, we talked about this, right? How sin or the issues that are inside you is something that is alive, and if you leave it alone, what does it do? It just gets getting bigger and bigger. We talked about that when we opened up live streams, right? Remember our first session? You guys remember Cain? And remember, when he had an issue, God came down in Genesis chapter 4 and described his issue like what? What did he describe it as? Do you remember that picture? It was of a lion, right? And how the lion was hiding in the tall grass. And he says, sin is crouching at your door. And I described that, or the original Hebrew, I should say, describes it as a lion. It's an animalistic terminology that is there. And so the point is, Cain, watch out. Things are going to get very ugly very, very soon, unless you keep it under control and master the situation. Well, did he? No. And so tragically, things did not turn out very well for him and his relationship with his brother. These issues, I mean, it's not just Genesis 4, but it's throughout the scriptures and coming into the New Testament and coming into our lives in real time is Galatians chapter 5, where it talks about that kind of stuff that's swirling inside us. It says there in verse 17, for the sinful nature desires what is contrary to the Spirit, and the Spirit what is contrary to the sinful nature. They are in what? Conflict. And so that's what we're talking about. They're in conflict with one another. And so if you haven't caught on yet, let me say the obvious. Sin is alive and doing very well. And it's going to continue to grow unless you do something about it. And if you don't, it's going to not only grow, but it's going to take over. Like that potion that Dr. Jekyll drank. Remember that story? Of how he drank that potion in order to become Mr. Hyde. And for me, the most powerful moment in that story was when he decided not to drink it. Do you remember that time? He decided not to drink it. And he puts it aside and he's sitting there and he looks down at his hands. And even without the potion, he realizes he's turning into Mr. Hyde. And so the reality is now he doesn't need it anymore because now his body has taken over. It's become a habit and it's automatically kicking in. In other words, it's taken over. And once it takes over, that's very important if you're taking notes tonight, once it takes over, it then spills over into the rest of your life. And so that's how it works. That's the biblical dynamic. It starts in here, swirls around in here, and then it spills over into the, the outer world, your relationships, whatever situation that you have. And so all this stuff on the inside, what's the opposite? Outside. Inside, outside is the biblical principle that we're confirming here tonight. So Galatians chapter 5, I'm going to show it to you again in a minute, but I'm going to connect it to another verse which talks about the outside. Galatians 5 is about the inside. There's another verse, and actually there's a lot, but it talks about how it spills over onto the outside. For example, James chapter 4, verse 1, where it says, what causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from the desires that battle where? Within you. And so there it is. It's talking about a fight that's happening on the outside, but where's the source of that? The battles that are within you. So what's the principle? It spills over inside to the outside, or, there's that phrase, inside out. And that's the biblical principle that we are talking about tonight. So the cause of external conflict is internal conflict. That's a good way to say it. Hey, I just made that up right now by myself, all right? So in order to confirm that, we're going to make something tonight, all right? Tonight is your lucky day because we are going to, or I am going to share with you my secret recipe. This has been handed down through the generations in my family. You didn't know I could cook, did you? Well, tonight, I am the master chef, and I am going to cook something for you. And if you like the recipe, we'll post it online, all right? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to make something tonight, and I say we because I have an assistant. And she's a very lovely assistant. Let's give it up for Chef Julie. All right. All right. So Chef Julie, she's my apprentice. I'm the master chef, and she's the chef. Welcome, Julie. All right. And we're going to make something tonight. Okay? And right below you, Julie, is a pitcher of water. And this pitcher of water is going to represent the good stuff that we're going to put into our hearts. This little bowl here represents our heart. So a big, fat, round heart here, okay? And we're going to put in some good stuff right now. Let's pour in some refreshing, good, cold, clean water. Very nice. Oh, nice. Good job, Julie. I taught you well.
Hardly spilled a bit.
All right. Okay. I'll pour the whole stuff in there, okay? We got to make enough for everybody tonight, right? I mean, that cart's nothing. Wait till you try this, all right? So that's that.
Okay.
So we put good stuff in our hearts, obviously. That's God's plan for our lives. But sometimes we put bad stuff in our hearts. And so I just got some dirt from out there. All right, so Julie, go ahead. Pour all the dirt. This represents all the issues and bad stuff in our lives. All right, so here you go, Julie. Go ahead and mix that all up, because tonight is all about mixing, swirling, and letting it marinate. Nice, nice. Got some good stuff going on here tonight. We're just going to keep on mixing, Julie. All right, thank you. We'll put this aside right here. And let me talk, and you just keep on mixing and adding. We're going to add some stuff tonight. In fact, Julie, a little bit of Tabasco, please, because we got to spice it up, okay? There are a lot of things in our life that are very spicy, things that kind of wake us up, all right? That's enough for now. All right, good. All right, now mix it up. Mix it up. All right, mix it up, okay. Oh, nice. Smells great. All right, so we're going to keep mixing it up. Let me read the recipe here. All right, so you add some Tabasco. You know, sometimes it gives you a heartburn, right? All that spicy stuff. So tonight, we're talking about spicy foods that can give you heartburn, or we should say spiritual spices that can give you all kinds of spiritual heartburn, all right? And so the more you stir, keep on stirring. We're going to create something that is really nice. Let's add some other spices there. What do you got, Julie?
I have some chili powder.
Chili powder. Okay, let's add some of that, all right? Okay, very nice. Very good. All right, not too much, because I know the cooks are going to get angry, all right? All right, but go ahead. Oh, that's a nice bunch. And mix it all up really good. What else do you have?
Cayenne pepper.
Cayenne pepper. Tonight is your lucky night. All right. Cayenne pepper. Let's add that. Just keep on mixing it with the Tabasco. And it's important that you have to keep mixing because it just ferments and marinates, okay? Because that's what issues are like. They just marinate inside you. So it's like Galatians 5 marinating inside you and creating the heartburn, okay? See that fire? You are on fire, okay? Burning hot. And it's the Galatians 5 right here in your belly that's beginning to just burn out of control, bubbling, fermenting. Let's add some habanero sauce. All right, good stuff. All right, put some in there. Let's see. Because you know what? The more you let it marinate, more than I expected, but hey, it's all good.
It's all or nothing with me.
Not bad. Not bad. Okay, keep on mixing. All right. And so we're going to keep on stirring. It's very important. And here, now watch, listen, okay? Going to zoom in. You watch those cooking shows, right? You got to zoom in to what I'm about to say right now. And that is, as you are mixing, what happens is this stew here, okay, begins to go through a conversion. It begins to change, okay? And here's how the change works. In the beginning, it was all your issues, things that bothered you, okay? But after a while, it just sort of goes through a conversion. I don't know, is it the Tabasco, habanero? I don't know why, but it goes through a conversion in the way that now you start thinking it's the other person's fault, okay? So you begin to think it's the other person's fault. And by the way, that's the oldest trick in the book. Because remember when Adam made a mistake? What did he do? He said, hey, it's the woman, okay? And ever since that time, man's been blaming the woman, okay? And so this is what we're going to do. We are going to add things, special ingredients to our recipe here, okay? Family secret. What does it say? Blame shifting. All right, let's add that in there. Mix it all up. All right, very good. All right, so blame shifting is burning inside your belly right now. And of course, you all know women do that too, right? Blame other people. It's not just a man, right, Julie? No, just a
Crazy
man,
talk.
okay? Just a man, all right. Good. All right, so keep on mixing. Let's add a little pepper. We didn't add some pepper,
No, we didn't
right?
have pepper. No, not
Pepper.
yet.
Add some peppers in there. All right, very good. All right, so all these issues are now inside you, and as you're blaming people, what happens is blame shifting turns into, what does that say? Unmet expectations, because remember, we've already gone through the conversion where you think it's the other person's fault. And so if it's the other person's fault, well, now you're projecting expectations. And so take a look. James chapter 4, verse 1. What causes fights and quarrels and desires among you? Don't they come from the desires, your desires that battle within you? Scholars interpret that as unmet expectations. Thank you, Max, for your participation. Unmet expectations. Go ahead, Julie. Crumple that up and put that in there. All right, because we need that. Because that's what's going to make this thing really good, all right? So mix that all inside there and keep on mixing. And so what happens now is that unmet expectations mixed with blame shifting. Oh, I forgot to show you the recipe. Unmet expectations, excuse me. So you mix those two ingredients together, and then what happens is if your partner, friend, spouse doesn't change, oh, now you really get mad. And so unmet expectations, as it swirls inside you, turns into demands. Ooh, I should have shown you this first. Demands. Okay? So we're going to throw demands in there, and we're going to mix that up too. And so demands now start swirling, and this is where now anger starts coming out, because now you're either yelling or using other manipulative tactics in order to get your way. Why? Because you have unmet expectations inside you. How's that looking, Julie? All right. Looking delicious, huh? Absolutely delicious. All right. All of you will get a sample tonight. All right. So, from demand. That's because you haven't tried it yet, Cloyd, okay? So, that's what I always say to my son.
Don't
You
be
didn't
a
try
hater.
it yet. Come on. All right? Don't be so picky. All right. So, tonight, we're making this very special recipe. So, what happens is, okay, follow it. Blame shifting, unmet expectations, then demands, and then what if you don't get what you demand? Oh, then that marinates. How's that marinate? Now what do we have? Bitterness, and bitterness is a marinated form of anger. And so let's throw that in there too. Okay, so bitterness now begins to sink in. And so things are really getting good right now. You stir all of those things together, and you stay bitter for a very long time. You know what bitterness then turns into? Withdrawal. Because now you practically lost hope. And so now you're withdrawing everything. Withdrawing attention, emotions, and physical intimacy, all kinds of things that we now withdraw from the other person. And withdrawal then turns into irritability. Now you're snapping at everything. Every little thing bothers you. So crumple that in. Because now you're at a real high level, okay? Because now everything bothers you. I mean, the littlest things. Have you ever wondered, it's not even a big deal. Why get so mad over little things like, squeezing the toothpaste in the middle, or spilling the milk, or you forget the phone home, or whatever, and you get all upset, and then you say to your spouse or you say to your friend, why? Why'd you get so mad? It's not a big deal. You're right. It's not a big deal. But it's a sign of something much deeper. So if you got a quick trigger, it's usually a sign of something much deeper inside. How's that coming, Julie? It's looking good, huh? Looking really good. Tonight is your lucky night. I hope you saved room for dessert. Okay? So we're going to mix it all up, and we have one more ingredient to just spice it up, because all that stuff is going nowhere until you add this ingredient, and that is record of wrongs. All those things in the past now, they might disappear, but hey, with this secret ingredient, those issues ain't going anywhere. So let's throw that in, okay? You need that to make things really, really good in your life, okay? So now we've done it, Julie. We've made it, okay? So how's that looking?
Yummy.
Let me see. It's looking really good. All right, Julie. Okay, you and I will be the first two to test it. Okay, so here you go. Go get your cup right there.
All right.
Okay, so here we go. Okay, for you. For me. Cheers. All right. Nasty. Nasty. All right, let's give it up for Julie. Okay. So the whole point is we create it and then we serve it to other people, and it becomes a very nasty drink. And so remember the principle. Starts inside here, right? And then it does what? It spills over into the rest of your life. And, Jesus talked about that, about the heart and how that impacts the way you speak and the things that you do. When he says in Luke chapter 6:45, he says, the good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart, and the evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For out of the overflow of the heart, his mouth speaks. And so after you create this masterpiece, this is what happens. It then overflows okay, into your life. And so that's what happens. You do that over several years. No wonder your relationship is the way it is. All right. So, do you remember that question I said I was going to ask you? Where is the source of conflict? It's you. Okay, it's you. Okay? It's you. It's a conflict that is inside you. And so, what are we going to do? And we're making good time tonight, because tonight we're going to end a little bit early, because we're going to have a little bit longer part 2, because I got a special guest and you don't want to go home tonight, all right? And so let me cut to the chase and give you a couple things. I know it won't feel complete, but hey, it's just part 1, right? Got to come back next week and then the following week, and then there'll be more stuff online for you guys to download. You can download tonight, right now, even stuff. And so it's just part 1. Let's just begin to warm up to these ideas. I'm going to just give you 5 quick things that you need to begin to think about tonight, okay? And so here we go. Number 1, stop blame shifting. Do I need to explain that? Come on now. Stop doing it. Own up, man up, take ownership of your own issues, and stop saying stupid things like, if she would just change, everything will be fine. If he just gets his act together, then we'll be just fine. Will you stop it? That's not how it works. In counseling, the first session is always just like a tattletelling time. They sit down, they don't know the rules of the game, and they're just like yelling at each other, pointing a finger. They can't even sit on the same couch together. And the first time, I always say, listen, time out. All right, this is the first session, so I'm just going to let it go and just let it all come out. But going forward, you need to understand this is Christian counseling. And Christian counseling is all about looking at yourself. It's not about pointing a finger. It's about looking at yourself and what you can do to change. And if both of you do that, we're going to be able to make some progress. Does that make sense? So no more blame shifting. That's got to stop, which then leads to the next point, and that is focus on your own issues. Take responsibility, okay? Stop looking at the other person. Take responsibility and look at your own issues. Jesus said that in Matthew chapter 7 when he said, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, Let me take the speck out of your eye when all the time there is a plank in your own eye. You hypocrite. First take the plank out of your own eye, then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Look, you see the latter part of the verse? It's at least allowing you to help your brother, right? But you got to take care of business before that. And that's personal business. That's stuff you need to do. Now, number 3, we're going to get a little more specific here, very important. And that is, organize your issues. Organize them. Okay? It's very important that you do that. What I mean is, do you remember in the beginning I said that self-inventory is the beginning of conflict resolution? Remember that? And so as you're taking inventory, have you ever worked in a warehouse or worked in a back storeroom? I mean, you're not just working with a pile of stuff, but part of the inventorying process is organization, right? You're organizing the stuff. And so your heart is like a bunch of fragile issues. And it's very important that you put it on the shelf and organize it. Now, here's what I mean, because the opposite is just not helpful at all. You got to organize, so you got to go back, okay? And you got to, oh, this is the one I was looking for. Record of wrongs, all right? So this is the first one, because remember, you have to first make a commitment not to do that, all right? Okay. What is this? Yeah, that's in here somewhere, but it's like it's all, what? It's all mixed together. Now it's like, can't even read it. What is this? And so this is what happens in counseling, right? They come in, they're like, Pastor, and they always say the same thing. I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know what the issues are, okay? And I said, can you give me some idea? And they're like, I don't know, okay? And so it's like you're digging through, and they have no idea what to do because it's like unreadable at that point. And so, in that situation, it becomes very difficult. But here, listen to me. As you're working the situation out, it's very important that when you take these issues, and it's been years, and you might not be able to make sense out of a lot of these pieces, I should say, but what you got to do is somehow organize them in the order of, this is very important, listen, you're organizing them in the order of importance. Because if you got 10 issues, you can't deal with all 10 at one time. Even if you can, don't. Because they're not all equally important. You take the most important issues, and so I always say in counseling, what are the most important ones? And they say, well, maybe it's this, or maybe it's this. And so it's a process of organizing the most important issues. Yeah, I know it's not readable. I know it's just a big mess right now, but that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to organize all the issues in a way, and then we say, okay, these 3 are going to receive the most attention right now. They're the most important. And what's going to happen is that these, because they're less important, we can wait. Because these might just disappear if we focus on the ones that are a priority. And so that's what you do. You focus on the most important thing, and that is part of the organizing process. And so you organize your issues, or another way to put it is you prioritize your issues. And what happens then is then a game plan arises, and you begin to think clearly. Because I always say to counselees, listen, when you walk out that door, you will be more clear in your understanding of your issues. Why? Because you've organized them in a way that you put the most important things ahead of the other ones. And then you will know which ones that you need to pray about and to spend your time working on. And so in the beginning, they say things like, I don't know where to begin to even talk about it. But when they leave, they always say, now I know. And that's the process. And so again, that process of organizing, let me put it on the screen again on top of the boxes. Self-inventory is the beginning of conflict resolution. Yeah, I know your spouse has issues. I know your friend has issues, but you got to take a look at yourself, okay? Take a look at yourself and deal with your other issues. All right, number 4. And that is ask others more mature, there's the qualifier, more mature to help you take inventory, and that's what the counseling can do. It doesn't have to be professional counseling. It can be a big brother or a big sister in your life. Somebody who is more mature and can help you think through the process and can help you sort out all the messy issues in your life. Have you ever read this verse? In Proverbs chapter 18, verse 17, it says, the first to present his case seems right, till another comes forward and questions him. Now, this verse tells you that the process of questioning is actually a good thing. Have you ever had that experience of course you did, where you thought something, but then somebody else comes along and says, you know, I don't know about that, and gives you a fresh perspective. That's what third party does. And here's a verse that validates third-party participation. And you should call people that are more mature than you are to get a fresh perspective. And by doing so, you might change your mind. And in this case, that's a good thing, getting a new perspective. So ask somebody more mature to help you through this situation. And one last thing is number 5. And that is ask God to help you take inventory. You ask everybody else, ask God. King David did that in Psalm 139, verses 23 through 24, when he says, search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. And so this happens when you pray and meditate on His Word, on your situation, and God can speak to your heart. And so tonight, you are the source of conflict, but I've given you some idea of how you can go about dealing with it, and next week and the following week, we'll be able to unpack that some more. Well, that's it for tonight. I know it's not a hard conclusion. We'll just create a soft conclusion for tonight, pick up where we left off next week. But I want you to know that we have rhyme and reason to what we do. Take a look at the screen and see our curriculum and see where we are going. And you can track all this stuff on our Facebook. We try to keep it current. Go to live streams, and you can like it and be part of it, and you get all the announcements and so forth. And of course, we have a website, livestreamsonline.net and .org. You can go there, and everything there is free. All kinds of free downloads for you, for your children. In fact, there is a postcard on your table right now. Would you take that home with you and put it on your refrigerator? That postcard, this is the back of the postcard. It tells you of all the free downloads that are on the website. Go ahead and keep it on your refrigerator to remind you, or give it to a friend who might be in need of some of these downloads tonight.